Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Are You Screening podcast. I am your host, AreYouScreening.com's own Mark Eastman, and with me, as always, is co-host extraordinaire Shane Leonard.
Hello.
And this week, as we return from vacation, because I'm all vacationed out, Yellowstone, Glacier,
right?
Got my Grand Tetons mug here.
You've been around.
So,
You've been doing the things.
yeah, crazy wild ride through
Wally World,
through all sorts of national parks.
Largest
I wish.
ball of twine, that kind of stuff. Yeah.
All of the highs and lows that Wyoming and Montana have to offer in a wild drive to get to all the parks.
The internet is constantly marveling and disappointing at the same time. It may exist, but I remember years ago thinking there should be a trip that you can make to do the Griswold trip. Now, of course, you'd have to start in Illinois. You'd miss the entire East Coast.
Right.
But there should be, this is really where the world's largest ball of twine is.
Somebody takes you on a tour.
Definitely the things that they went to, people think that the Grand Canyon isn't real. It's real. But there would be things like the world's largest hut made from straw.
Sure.
And I mean McDonald's straws, whatever. There would just be this thing that you could take, and when you plotted it, it would have the old Roadster making the moves. I think that's a genius website. It's never existed as far as I know.
That would be great. Who doesn't think the Grand Canyon exists?
People, that people think that we didn't walk on the moon. Those people.
Those are different people.
It was just
anyway.
a joke.
All right. This week we are going to do Nobody 2.
That's right.
Because that just came out very recently, and we really liked the first one.
Yeah.
And so that's how that gets moved up to the top of the pile.
Yeah.
And we're also going to cover real quickly at the beginning here the Pickup, the new-ish at this point. Eddie Murphy and
Pete
Davidson.
Yep.
And they are like security guards, armored truck driver things, whatever. And, leading into that, I don't even actually necessarily have much news right now because, I'm out of it. I've been out of it for a while.
Yeah.
If you haven't checked it out, we also just did another trailer reaction for the teaser trailer for Wuthering Heights, which is coming out on Valentine's Day. So you can go check out the trailer, obviously in that video, get our reactions to it and what we think. And what we think is summed up as it was a little weird.
Curious. Yeah. And let us know what you think, either in there or on here. Just, watch it. Tell us if we're missing something.
Right. So just right on to the Pickup, I guess.
Yeah.
We'll just jump right in. So this is a interesting movie.
Yeah.
And that really does, we already summed up the movie.
Yeah.
I mean, that pretty much just sums everything up. Eddie Murphy and Pete Davidson work at this security company.
Yep.
For Andrew Dice Clay.
Right.
Because why not?
Why not? Let's throw our friends in.
And they basically just meet on this one run, right? It's Eddie Murphy's anniversary or whatever.
Yep.
And Pete Davidson is kind of the new guy or the newer guy anyway, and they have not worked together, and Bob called out or whatever the heck.
Yeah.
And so they are driving this truck, and they are oddly enough not even doing anything special, but our, villains du jour have special plans where it doesn't matter if they're doing anything special. And anyway, so these people have planned out this whole thing to rob the armored truck as it this is like a long distance armored truck.
Yeah.
It's got to go a really serious distance in between
pickups,
the some of the places that it's picking up. And you see at the beginning, it does a few, and then because we need a montage of just some regular crap happening or whatever. And anyway, And then, it's like hilarity ensues. They try to rob the truck. It doesn't go that great, but then eventually they get caught, and that is really pretty early on.
Yeah.
Right? And then the real movie is like after that, when they have to basically spend the movie driving in this truck, and all hell's breaking
Defending
loose in
everything
one way or another,
right.
and
yeah.
and then it's like allegedly like hilarity ensues, or whatever.
Right, yeah.
So as far as ratings, this movie is, I want to say that it's really, really awful. Whether it is or not. I just want to say that.
Right.
and it's not quite, actually.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it is bad. Most of the stuff that happens, and this is a movie for me, and it's funny that we just, pretty recently did Happy Gilmore 2.
Yeah.
Because this movie for me comes down to, like, it's a pretty goofy premise. Once you get to like the end, like the last half hour, it's kind of like the movie just throws up its hands and goes, I don't know, it ends.
And looks around.
Here you go.
Anyone still here? Does anyone care how this ends? You do? All right, hang on. Let's say this happens.
It's like, it's like the pitch for this movie was like the first 45 minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
And then they said, okay, yeah. And then they went, oh, shit.
Right.
I guess we have to write other things.
How does it end? I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out. How hard it be?
So, and I mean, the premise is a little goofy, but it's not, it's not the goofiest thing ever. It's like kind of goofy for, but it's got to be a heist and we got to do whatever. The problem for me with this movie is much like Happy Gilmore 2.
Yeah.
And even the Beverly Hills Cop that we got
Axel
recently
F,
with Eddie Murphy is that none of the funny stuff is funny.
Right.
I mean, there's a little bit here and there that's not bad, maybe. There are parts, the best things in this movie that happen are Pete Davidson, who I'm not really a fan of.
Yeah.
I don't really love Pete Davidson. But him kind of being, just like lost and having no idea what he should do and stuff, he does that stuff pretty well, right?
Yeah.
He's actually pretty funny in being, as soon as something goes wrong, he's like, how am I supposed to know what to do, And, and he's, some of that stuff is actually pretty good in like the middle to like just before the middle kind of area. But most of the stuff that happens is just like, really?
Yeah.
That's what happens? Why would that happen?
Right.
I don't know. It says so in the script. Like it's, the characters are kind of boringly whatever they're supposed to be right now, or whatever kind of gets me inside the door. I have to get over there somehow.
Yeah.
Okay, this is what I would do then.
Right.
Is that what you would do? That's not what you would do.
Right.
I mean, it's like, and I would be, this is a movie that's like begging you to go, just forgive everything because it's super funny. Right.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, but
when it isn't, I can't.
It's not at all super funny. Right.
Right.
So at the end of the day, it's not awful, and it's not one of those movies that's like calling you stupid.
Yeah.
So, it's like not terrible. If the movie were actually funny, it might be able to be like 6, right? Or maybe even slightly higher if it really was great or anything. But it's that movie except not funny, right?
Yeah.
So all I could give it was 3.5. So I landed pretty squarely on 3.5. I thought 3 for a while.
I had you at 3.
And I'm like, I mean, there are some scenes that are like, kind of worth enjoying, even if they're not great.
Yeah.
But they're passable, they're fun, whatever. But, that's as good as that gets for me.
I've always been even through some of the dark times. I've always been an Eddie Murphy fan. We grew up in some way when he became mega star. And I, like you, I'm not a big Pete Davidson fan, except in two instances, which are seemingly sort of rare. I like Pete when he's not trying to be funny.
Yeah.
When he's actually just acting and doing real somber or serious stuff, I find him strangely effective at that. I think he needs to grow and do more work, but he's not a bad actor. Or when he is off the rails, like purposely, like on like any comedic roast, when he's delivering just the lowest of blows, they're funny. If he's not in either of those spectrums, I just don't know what he's doing. And here it's sort of like the same thing. A film like this, for me, sometimes is a bit tricky. Am I rating the film? Am I rating the potential of the film? You drop Eddie Murphy into any comedy, most people's reaction is it's going to be amazing, like Coming to America, Beverly Hills Cop, anything that he's done. That's not always the case because it's not always just what one person can do. It's not a stand-up show. So there's writers, producers, there's all kinds of things going on. And sometimes you do a film for a friend for a favor. Sometimes you do a film because it's in your contract and it's time to do a movie and this is what's on the table and it's better than anything else. And you think, if this is better than the other things, where are the other things? Excuse me. So this film also is a 3.5. It's disappointing because of the star power. It should have been better. But one of the things that I realized, even just firing it up like I always do, just in case we need some weird tidbit on like IMDb, I don't remember any of the characters' names. And I thought, did I remember any of them like 35 minutes or 40 minutes in? And I didn't. I just remembered there's Pete, there's Eddie, Eva Longoria is married to Pete. Like, I don't know anything about anybody except here's the Three Stooges setup. Moe's the driver.
Right.
Curly's going to be the, you know, the door guy. Like, and all it is sort of, it's not quite Keystone Cops comedy because that's not the level it reaches. There are some scenes that are funny. I think I did genuinely laugh, and not like like, oh, it's 4 stars. But I remember having a couple of scenes where I was thinking, this is really good, more of that. The best thing it does is it's 90 minutes long. The worst thing it does is it doesn't care what it's doing. It's a direct-to-video film. And for old guys like us, we know what that means. Now I guess it's direct-to-streaming, you know, but that doesn't even qualify because sometimes the big things go right to streaming. It just feels like a disappointment and a missed opportunity. It's totally harmless. Like you said, it's not calling me stupid, but it's not doing anything that really should have done to itself to elevate itself. It was absolutely comfortable being a C- student in the back of the class. And if you're comfortable with that, cool. God bless you. Go ahead. But it's just, it's one of these things where normally from all the weird ones like Dolomite Is My Name to, you know, any number of Eddie Murphy's last 10-year films, some of them I'd be like, don't even do anything today. Go watch this. It's great. And give it time because it does get better. And then there are things like Axel F where I'm like, skip that. Don't even bother with that. This is one of those where I'm like, I guess if you got nothing to do, or you really have a crush on Pete Davidson, or you really just miss Eddie Murphy, fire it up.
There's nothing else on
but
the airplane.
There's got to be something else you could do. Even on the plane, I'd be like, I think I might just sleep.
Yeah.
So,
and there's even
what a bummer, you know.
Yeah. Not to spend too much time just bagging on this film, but there's even, you know, even if it's not like, you know, my humor or I don't think it's, you know, funny and maybe other people should try and check it out because maybe they think it's funnier and, you know, hooray for them. Like, I don't know, some people like Paul Blart or you know, whatever.
Sure, that's what they,
But this one's not even funny.
It's not even that.
Like it's not like
excuse me.
It's not like it does something and goes, oh, it thinks that's funny and I don't think it is.
Yeah.
It's like it's not really even trying to be funny.
Yeah.
Really. I mean, apart from, you know, there's long gaps in the movie where it's not even trying to be funny, or at best there's like maybe like some one-liner
Yeah.
here
they
and
rhyme,
there or
yeah.
something, and you're like, yeah, okay. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's very, very disappointing, even not having like high hopes for it.
Right.
But I thought going into the movie, and maybe after like the first 10 or 15 minutes, I thought this was a movie that, thought it was much funnier. And,
Yeah, I agree.
and
Totally.
It's just, it's not even trying to be that funny.
Yeah.
And I don't like the humor or
Right.
whatever. It's just like, it's just not even,
just not
it's
there.
not even trying.
It's possible the best part of this film would have been a documentary making it. When Eddie directed Harlem Nights, he said, we made a movie, but we died laughing every day between takes.
Right.
Red Fox, Richard Pryor, me, Della Reese, like everybody who was a killer back then for comedy. And he's like, we should have just filmed like craft services. It would have
Right.
been amazing. Maybe
Right.
this is one of those things. When I was getting ready to watch it, I had a strange thought. I'm like, just be like brothers. Just be funny and just enough edge like
Right.
brothers. And it's not like brothers at all. In fact, it's just like it had no interest in having an edge,
Yeah.
even a soft edge.
Right.
Just, we just assume you'll show up. So,
Yeah, exactly. It's just the streaming contract that we had, and you
Yeah.
have to make. It's, I mean, which is the same for Adam Sandler, right? He signed some contract to make 20
10 films,
movies
7
or whatever
years.
the
Like,
hell it
let's
is.
crank them out, Yeah.
All right, so moving on. Before we move on, before we jump right in, I did think of something I was kind of going to mention. Just this is total nothing and doesn't even really have to do with movies. But I could be, crazy old man
Uh-oh.
and not know things,
Yeah.
but because maybe this has been around and I just didn't know.
Yeah.
But YouTube has now, or like it's either new to YouTube or it's new to me or whatever. But they now have this AI thing on videos where it like says ask.
What?
Yeah, and on the bottom of your video player where there's all these things that are like, share or whatever. And one of them says ask, and it's AI. And the only thing I'm going to say about that, because, do you like AI or hate AI or whatever? I don't care about like all the politics. But you click on it and it's like all these questions come up about the video, right?
Okay.
And so like I'm looking at
Oh, no.
I'm looking at one of the videos that we posted, and it's like it comes up with stuff and it'll be like why does Mark give the Amateur a 6?
Right.
Which is not even what I gave it, but still.
Right. Right.
I mean, I don't know what it's.
AI just is thinking
Yeah, it's like reading the whole thing.
your tone.
And you go, okay, let's find out about that. And it comes up with this huge paragraph
What? Oh, my
and
God.
explains all this and it will say, and he says this, and it's got like a timestamp, and he thinks this and that about it, and it comes up with all these questions about
This is
everything. And it's like, when we were doing the Fantastic Four, and all of a sudden it says like, why is the Reed Richards character a problem?
Right.
And I'm like, all right. And then it, it tells you all this stuff.
Oh, my God.
And so you either love that or hate that or whatever. But I will say this for it, whether the responses are great, and the responses make us look good. I'll tell you that.
All right.
The responses make it sound like we know
Yo,
what
AI. All
we know
right.
what we're talking about.
Yeah.
But whether you like that or not, if you hit on that thing
This is wild. I didn't
and
know
just
this.
see the questions that come up,
Right.
then you get an idea immediately of what we're going to be talking about and
Yeah.
what gets covered and stuff like that. And I think whether you even look at the answers or not, I think that's pretty cool where we're doing like a long show.
Yeah.
And this is not like mostly, YouTube 15-minute max things that people are doing. We're doing like a long thing. You click on that thing and you'll see what are we going to cover? What
Yeah.
do we talk about the movies? And maybe you will go,
Wow.
well, I don't want to hear that noise, so I'm out. But
Right.
maybe you will go, that
That sounds
does
interesting.
actually sound interesting and
Yeah.
be more inclined. So anyway, like I said, maybe this is just new to me. I don't know, but check that out on our videos.
I watch YouTube fairly often. I haven't seen any of that yet. It's got to be new. New. Like,
Yeah. I don't know, but it was actually really cool.
Wow.
And there were parts where
We
it
have
was
cliff
like,
notes. It's
why
awesome.
is this, part of the movie this or something like that? And I'm like, all right, let's see what it says. And just this huge thing comes out with all different like little timestamps. It was.
we should
it was
bring
cool.
up. We used to bring up. We should bring up your dislike of Roger Ebert and Kingdom of the Crystal Skull every video.
And then that will. Be
And then
in
one
it.
of the
And then
questions
that will
isn't
always
like, what
be
does
in it,
Mark feel
right.
like? It is just, what does Mark have against Roger Ebert?
Yeah, why does Mark hate Roger?
You know, that would be really funny to me.
All right, Nobody 2. So now
That's really interesting, actually. I
I'm
didn't know
not-
anything about that.
I'm not going to go too far into this whole story because it's a sequel, right? It's
Right.
like, learn about the movie if you don't know.
Right.
Right.
It just came. The first
because,
one, was
like I
out
said,
2
it's a
years
sequel.
ago. Yeah.
So this what it is about in this one is our story is that now nobody owes a bunch of money.
Right.
And it's a little weird because maybe I can't decide, and I'm not going to go find out, but I can't decide if I am not really remembering the end of the movie that great, or if this movie is like retconning like
I felt it.
what we are doing.
That's a wild that you're going to say that. I actually was thinking that too. I felt it retconned a bit of what
because all of a
Yeah.
sudden he is basically working
Right.
at the beginning of the movie. He is back to going out. Like, the first movie, it's like basically he's retired
Yeah.
and he kind of like, you mess with the wrong dude and huzzah.
Right.
Because he seems like he's playing
nobody.
just Mr. Regular
Yeah.
Guy. Right.
Right.
And, but now we're in a whole different world after that
Yeah.
because now he's going to work
Right.
every day,
Yeah.
right? And whatever. And then we get to the point where we find out he's like working off this insane giant debt,
Yeah.
right? And the whole thing is like causing some strain in the marriage and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And so he's going to take a vacation. And so he's going to go to his own personal Wally World.
Yeah, that's right.
That is,
Plummerville.
the one place that his dad took him or whatever, and it's this sad, stupid little amusement park place.
Yeah.
That it's funny because way towards the end, his brother shows up and is like, "This place is smaller than I remember," and you're like,
Yeah.
if you're in an amusement park.
Yeah.
And you can pretty much see across it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
It's a parking lot.
that's
Yeah.
not
Right.
not a great big place. But
Yeah.
anyway, so he wants to take his family there because it's like it's his own like relive this good memory that he has. Where he's basically selling the idea that he doesn't have that many.
Right.
And so we go to this town, and then it's like just another season of Reacher because he goes to
It is.
we go to some
I love
small
it.
town,
That's great.
and then the local cops are
All crooked.
all crooked
Everybody,
and everything. And they kind of have like this little run-in with them, and
Yeah.
you pick the wrong guy to have a little run-in with,
Right.
And so now then just everything escalates over and over, and it's Colin Hanks is the sheriff of the
Yep.
town or whatever, who is in the pocket of the drug guy, who is in the pocket of
The
this-
Queen Czar.
this woman who is like from
Central
Keanu
casting.
Reeves
Yeah. This is
movie.
This is
She's-
some central casting bad guy.
yeah. And so now he's got to fight everybody and everything, blah blah blah
Yeah.
blah. So that's what the movie is. It's just do that again. So for ratings, I really liked the first movie,
Yeah,
right?
we both did.
And I
We
really
loved
liked
Nobody.
the first movie, for some very specific reasons of, like how it did various things,
Yeah.
Like, especially, like in the first movie, you know, like one of the key things is like the bus fight scene, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I like the movie because what I hate about movies and fighting in movies is that it's never even a little bit real,
Right.
right?
Right.
I mean, a lot of the time anyway, not never,
Yeah.
but you know, it's always people get hit in the head with shit that would kill them. And then again and again,
get back
and
up
you just keep fighting and
yeah.
everything. And you know, like he is clearly not that guy, right? He's
Right.
not Reacher. He can't
Yeah.
take a bunch of punishment and
Right.
you know, get the crap beat out of him for a while and just come back or whatever.
Yeah.
Because like he's like this little old dude, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he's
Yeah.
and so he's in this bus fight with
Yeah.
several people,
Many people. Yeah.
but it's so much more realistic
Right.
than
Right.
most things because you know he just like gets you and breaks you and then you're done,
Right. And he's also
and then he moves on to the next guy,
and
right?
his superpower is he's made the decision, the willful decision that he's not going to stop.
Right.
It's you or me, and you collectively, and those guys are like, I'm just in it for the kicks. I'm not
Right,
here to fight
right.
some psycho.
Right.
Like he's legitimately a psychopath.
Right.
I'm out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And anyway, so in this movie, we really kind of lean away from seriously going that way.
Yeah.
And I mean, we can talk more about other stuff, but also I didn't mind the premise and how we're getting into it, even though it was, you know, it was kind of tired cliche at this
Right.
point, right? I mean, it was like so just cut and paste from like 150 other movies
Yeah.
and you know and we walk through it basically the exact same way and
Yeah.
it's kind of, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
And you know, so ultimately I wasn't having as much fun as I wanted to be having. I thought that the way that they wrote all the stuff with his wife,
Yeah.
and you know, like we'll get into that later, did not work for me. And the villain was utterly stupid.
Yeah.
And just boring,
Yeah.
right? Because the villain was like, she's the villain because that's what it says in the script.
Right. And we need one.
And
So
it's like,
and we
whatever.
want to be layered.
And
Yeah.
and she was just they're trying to, you know, hit on this just weirdness, right?
Yeah.
And it's like she got where she is because she's a psychopath
Right.
who, you know, slaughters everyone and all this stuff.
Right.
And you're like, well, I mean, A, that's not a thing. But B, they're like, you know, if you piss off the Russians, you know, the Russian mob does this or whatever. And she gets away with everything, even though, you know, all of the super secret, you know, 5th level of dark work good
Right.
guys know who she is.
Right.
But they just go,
Yeah.
whatever.
That's
And you're
life
like,
here in Plummerville.
okay, come on. Like
Yeah.
there's no explanation for anything. Anyway, a lot of it is fun. A lot of it kind of like kicked the chair out from underneath my love of the first movie, so that was a bummer.
Yeah.
It's still a fairly good time, but I could only give it a 6. I could only give it like just better than average
That's a
because
little better
there
than
was
I
a
thought.
lot of stuff that bummed me out about
Yeah.
it and really kind of took away from, you know, I don't know, the stuff that I liked about the first one.
Yeah.
So that's
I had you at 5. That's a little. It's weird. I had us in this weird little pocket too because I gave it a 4, and basically 4 is just below average. I thought about giving it a 5. Not that it cares what I give it, but I would have said a very disappointing 5.
Yeah,
And then I thought that means 4. I mean, what you're really saying is
Sure.
that it is an average action film. It's an average sequel action film. But because the first one was sort of unique in the same way that John Wick became unique originally for its visual take on the violence that will happen in this world, the first one is sort of, you know, the John Wick of hand-to-hand combat. Like it was just so visceral and brutal, but comedic and then actually very serious. You know,
Right,
people
right.
that actually take certain hits just don't get up because that's crippling. This one, I think it meant well. I think it deserved a sequel. I thought the first
Yeah.
one was fun enough, and I was looking forward to this. You know, we're old enough and seasoned enough to know that sequels are often a step, at least maybe two, below the original. There's so many parts of it that I guess I'll say this: everyone showed up that was game. You know, Christopher Lloyd doesn't have much to do, but he's like, "Hey, man, I had a blast. Let's do it. I'll be
Right.
that guy again." His family's there. It's interesting to see the dynamic supposedly on paper between Hutch and his wife. There are things that are happening that I think happen only because there's a camera watching them. You know, early on, she's indicating that their marriage is in real trouble, and then she masks it up. And I thought, that's not terribly uncommon. But in the way that they're filming it, it's just like audience fodder. It really doesn't feel earned the way they're doing it, and the way she keeps stepping on it later, like when she's driving to work. And
Right.
there's just so many things that are supposed to build attention that hasn't been earned. It's sort of a mindless action film, so I'm not asking it to do these amazing things, but I am asking it to at least lean into the fun that it had in the first film, and that was with some characterization. The plot here is genuinely like fourth grade polling. Like,
Right.
okay, so we have a town that is secretly, it looks like it's just a little, you know, off the side of the road pleasure park kind of thing. No big deal, but it's really just like a drug running operation. It's where things come in. Okay, cool. Not a problem. But when the sheriff and the bully of the town, the kid bully who starts all the problem in the arcade, and then suddenly, you know, the guy's like, "Look, I just want him out of town," and he goes, "No, we're gonna kill him."
Right.
And I'm
right,
like,
right.
"Okay, that's the film we're in."
Right.
All right. And almost on a dime when I wasn't paying attention to it, because I still had, that's pretty early on in the movie. That's 25 minutes in. Now, it's not a long film, which thankfully is, you know, right up our alley. It's an hour and a half long. But if that's the ideology and that they really mean that this small town sheriff is just like, we're just going to kill them. We're going to hide their car. We're going to do everything we always do. And we've done it before. We'll do it again. And I'm like, okay, all right, okay. And then Sharon Stone's character is happy to chew all the scenery, be this larger than life. You know, when people use that phrase, what they mean, what they're making fun of is like Al Pacino yelling, "Hoorah!" You know, that kind of villainous thing where there's nothing to them. They just want to burn everything and kill
Right.
everything. And
Right.
she's having fun, you know, and she's working, and it sort of both fits this film and shouldn't be anywhere near it at all. But by the time you get to her character, so many things shouldn't be in this film at all. I'll wrap up by saying it gives you the greatest hits. It gives you what you want. You know, there's a bus-like scene here on a boat
Right.
that gave me everything I wanted. And when it ended, before it started again, I thought, that's weird. That's not how I thought that was going to go at all. And then he gets back on the boat, and I'm like, this is exactly what I thought they were going to do.
Right.
And it gave all of that to me in a way that was enjoyable. But man, it just felt like a ghost of itself moving through the paces and didn't
Yeah.
have anything new to show me at all, except that maybe the people in his family are more dangerous than he originally thought.
Right.
And I guess that sort of makes them the Incredibles by the end of the film, but I just wasn't there. And I just was
Yeah.
disappointed in it.
Yeah, it's rough, and it has a lot of rough parts, and there are these little microcosms within the movie, like when he's on the boat and everything, where things are a bit better.
Yeah.
But even then, you know, I have problems with it, right?
Right.
Because in the first movie, kind of the thing about him is, you know, he's in these situations where we're having a fight, and like you said, he gets in some fights with some people who are like, all right, it's Saturday night. Let's see who we can harass and get in a fight with.
Yeah.
And he shows up and he's like, okay, I'm going to kill you.
Right. I'm going to put you in a box.
And that is not what they think is going to happen.
Right. Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
that's what he does, right?
Right.
He doesn't get on this bus against four people and go, you know, let's trade blows
Right.
or something. He just breaks your elbow,
Right.
and then you're on the ground,
Right.
and then he goes, "Who's next?" Right? Or he's like,
Right.
gouging people's eye out, or
Yeah.
whatever. He's like, you just don't know what fighting is,
Right.
Which that is an interesting.
I love that
movie,
idea. Yeah,
right.
totally.
That is an interesting movie to like throw it back on all these people, whether
Yeah.
they're just some punks on a bus, or
Yeah.
whether they're like these people who are like the drug runners who are like, haha, I have guns and
Right.
now I know how to fight or
Right.
something. And
Right.
he's like, and there is a part in this movie that it's so weird and it's so small. But I was like, man, when they were writing this at first, it was different, I bet.
Yeah.
Because you have this part in the end where, it's very freaking High Plains Drifter, where they have time
Yeah.
to set up the amusement park with all this
yeah.
stuff before the bad guys roll in.
Yeah.
And I'm like, great, like we need that again.
Yeah.
But you have this part where Christopher Lloyd is up in the nest
Yeah.
loading his like
Gatling.
gun,
Yeah.
and then spinning the wire on the explosive that he's set somewhere.
Yeah.
And he is, he's nobody's dad who
Right.
did this,
Yeah.
before, right?
Right.
And he is like in this movie, the characters that's going, you don't know what war is,
Right.
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 And
Yeah.
it's like, you think you're gonna roll in here and start a war,
Right.
and you don't know
Yeah.
what you're playing at. And I'm like, but we have, kind of that part, and it's just few second throwaway,
Sure.
Thing.
But-
they don't really hit it
Yeah.
or whatever. I'm really bringing more of that to the movie than it's
I
given
know,
me.
but I love. Yeah.
But it was cool. But there's so much else going on with, like I do like the part where, except it doesn't completely work in this movie, but in the better movie that this should be, I really like
Yeah.
the part where, he saves the one guy's son.
Me too.
The one guy wants out anyway.
Yep.
And they're like, hey, we're actually on the same team. You just didn't know it.
Right.
And all that stuff.
Yep.
That was actually pretty good.
I thought it was pretty good.
And it's like a little different. Like
Yeah.
we're taking a turn here from just the, AI automatic write me a script or
Right.
whatever.
Yeah.
And that was pretty cool. But there is, like I said, the villain is stupid.
Yeah.
And such a weird, I don't know. She got where she is because she's a psychopath.
Yeah.
And then, I'm sorry for being apparently misogynist, probably. But, then after all this happens, these two little girls come and kick his ass. And I'm like, come on.
Right.
Like, at least, I mean, and I'm not trying to be a bad person here
No.
or whatever, but I'm like, at least make them a little bit bigger girls.
Right.
Like, they're really small.
Right.
And I'm like, look, if she punches him, he is not going to
He's
care.
already endured the
Right.
boat where these men were very large.
Right.
Like you can't just subsidize size for
Right.
talent and,
And
still
they-
expect mass to react.
And they do like a couple of kung fu flips because they
Yeah.
saw a movie
Right.
or whatever.
Right.
And then, and I mean, it just has some things. Even like, there's this scene that seems so weird. Like, there's a lot of this movie on the cutting room floor somewhere, because there's a scene later on where his brother
Yep.
shows up, and there's this guy who's like, I don't think he has a name, but he's like
Right.
henchman A, because you can pick him out of a crowd or
Yeah,
whatever,
right.
because he's the right hand of the psycho,
Right.
because he's the one who you see his face or whatever.
Yeah.
And now they are gonna have a sword fight.
Yeah.
And if this movie were actually anywhere on par with the first movie,
Yeah.
right, that sword fight would last 8 seconds.
Right.
And
Right.
that's not what we get.
Right.
We get the end of the actual sword fight that should happen. Like the very end part where he talks.
Right.
But that should be like almost the whole fight.
Yeah.
But we have to drag it on
Go
for a
through
while.
this thing,
and and it's just such a weird thing, because if we can believe anything we know about his brother's character,
Yeah.
and we know nothing about Bob the henchman
Right.
who
Right.
we
Looks
we
sinister,
get
but-
nothing about, right?
Yeah.
There's no way that those two people,
Yeah.
you know, it's basically like Bruce Lee versus like just pick somebody out of a
The guy at the
crowd in a
grocery
shopping
store.
mall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like-
and they fight and it lasts for like 4 minutes.
Yeah.
And you're like, really?
Yeah.
It does?
Yeah.
Because man, that's like
Bruce is just toying with him now.
that's a lot of training
Yeah.
that you have to do just to not even be really
Yeah.
that good at it, right? You could have just done nothing and been almost as good as you are.
Right,
And
yeah.
it's really goofy.
20 more push-ups a day, you'd have won that. You know,
Right.
You said something that made me think of a lot of the best parts of these kind of films when and Odenkirk physically embodies this, and I know he's talked about it from the first film. He's like, I worked really hard, like physically, to get into a shape that would make sense for this guy to do the things he does. There's a scene in the Rambo films when he's got Brian Dennehy, who just looked at this guy like, you're just a drifter piece of crap. And now he's got a knife to his throat and he goes, don't push it. I'll give you a war you won't believe.
Right.
And that's Odenkirk. He's just like, look, if you want to tap my daughter in the back of her head, all right. Okay, I'm going to close this door and we're going to figure things out. And I'm walking out.
Right.
You're not going anywhere. You know, that kind of thing where people just look at him and he's like, who is that guy? And I love the title of these films. He's nobody.
Right.
Look at that guy, that nobody. Don't cross that nobody.
Yeah.
That nobody's got a lot of things pent up that he's willing to work out on all of your joints.
Yeah, I wish that this movie
I wish it had been so much
had
better.
just tried a little harder. It feels like not only a sequel, but
Yeah.
it also feels like, very sophomore album.
Yeah.
Right? Where you took a long time getting that first album together.
Yeah.
Figuring out the songs,
Yep.
planned, for years maybe,
Right.
until you had exactly what you wanted. And then somebody bought it and said, okay, you have 4 months to give me another album.
Yeah.
And so you do, because
Right.
whatever. But this felt like so rushed, including, like I said, it just seems like there is a lot of this movie on the cutting room floor
That
where
must
it was
be.
like, we got some explanation, we got some character development,
Yeah.
some stuff happened, because there are scenes where it's like, boom, you're here, and you go, wait, how'd I get there? And,
Right.
and and it's like, well, this part that you didn't get to watch, that's how you got
Yeah.
there. And the thing with his wife is, the whole movie, I really struggle with his wife.
Yeah.
Like at every part, I struggle with her, right? Because at the beginning, who knows how long this has been going on or
Right.
whatever, but still, like at the beginning, you're like, well, that's not his wife from the first movie, though.
Right.
That's like his wife from the first movie, but let's just suddenly say that she's this kind of different character a bit,
Right.
because that's what we want to happen,
Right.
right? And then a little bit later,
Yeah.
like basically she gets like worse and madder
Yeah.
and more like kind of accusatory at him and everything, where it's like, but why?
Yeah.
Is that who she is? Because it doesn't seem like that's who she is, but
Right.
well, that's who she is now. Then we get to the end and you're like, well, but wait, what happened to
Wait a minute now. Wait just a second. Yeah, no,
it's
that's
like
what you get.
when it's like when you have those movies where two people like have barely met and then like 5 minutes later they're like in love, and
Right.
you go, wait,
Right.
because they had the same science class,
Right. They ordered the same thing at the deli.
Right.
Like, we've
And-
got so many things.
and now boom, we're in love,
Yeah.
and we just run with the just believe me, they're in love, and let's just
Right. Let's
move
just
on.
get past it.
But it goes
Yeah.
both ways with their thing in this movie, and it's like unnecessary kind
Yeah.
of. I mean, it's like, you don't have to have this weird made up problem to
Right.
go on vacation with your family.
Right.
You could have just went on vacation.
We're just going on vacation.
anyway. I don't
And
know.
it's too bad,
it's
too.
weird and it's off putting.
There's a scene where she says, Hutch, I know you're working. You brought your black bag. And when she opens up the bag, not to spoil everything for anybody, but when she opens up the bag, it turns out it's like expensive Chardonnay wine,
Yeah.
whatever, from the place
Some
that they
wine
met.
that is like special to them.
Yeah, from the place that they met, and he gets to even like seem more sensitive and loving and just making mistakes. Please forgive me, when he's like, look at the year. It's the year we met, and there,
Right.
that scene and the concept of that scene when they're fraying is effective, but
Yeah.
it just doesn't work out of place with all the other scenes that
Right.
have her reacting to him and what he does. And I think you're right. I really do think you're right. I think that the best version of this film somehow got edited out, because that's a scene that accidentally got left in,
Right.
and shows that there's a better movie behind it.
Right. If you just watch that scene,
Yeah.
you're like, yeah, that's a
All
great
right.
scene. But like we say a lot of the time, that scene is really pretty good.
Yeah.
But in this movie,
Yeah, it's just not working.
it's still a good scene.
Oh, yeah.
But you're like, well, all right.
Yeah.
Like you have to kind of let it go because there's so much other stuff. But
Yeah.
the action stuff is it's still mostly pretty good.
Yeah.
And
Mostly.
and it's still
Yeah.
it still kind of drives you along, and it still kind of makes sense for him. There's just too much stuff in it where especially they're in the fight where he's like threatening to light all the money on fire again, right? Because
Right. That's what we do.
it worked once, why
Yeah.
not again? But there's a scene in that where like these people are clearly trying to kill him.
Yeah.
And the way he fights is like not even like when he was on the bus.
Right.
Right? I'm like, that guy would have already been dead. Like
Yeah.
they don't like there's
Right.
none of there's
Yeah.
all this like back and forth kind of bashing of people.
Yeah.
And you're like, that's not what he does, man. He
Right.
just turns you off.
Right. Right.
He doesn't do a bunch of let's punch each other. a
9
few
moves and
times or
4
whatever.
counters. He's like, I'm going to hit you where you're vulnerable hard. If the film, assuming that we're wrong, assuming that this really is the film that they'd made, I brought up John Wick for a reason. Sort of like my last thing to say about the whole thing is when the first one came out, it was a shot in the arm of action films because the violence was sort of amped up, but it has style that was really effective for the story they were telling. Nobody did the same thing, but what they should have really done is watched what they did with the second John Wick film, which is it realized what it had done successfully in the first time, pared down some things that were extra weight, made it a bit more svelte, and expanded the world.
Right.
We get the Continental in the second film in a way
right.
that's way more important. And when we saw it, we talked about and you're welcome for everyone in Hollywood, they should make a show about the Continental. They did.
Right.
But it was a better film because it was more of what worked, less of what didn't, and expanding that environment. The world that nobody is in, there's so many questions about everything that's going on outside of his immediacy, like his periphery. Who's out there training people? How many nobodies are there? What's the barber is the guy that's sending him, but are there other people that have nobodies too? There's a whole lot of world building that they could have done by just cutting this off. And instead, they did the exact opposite of everything. They put more weight on things to slow it down. They didn't expand the world. They drew it tighter. They brought in a worse villain.
Right.
Like, if you really had to roll Snake Eyes on a couple decisions and you rolled them on all of them,
Right.
this is the film you get.
Yeah. And yet it remains, still
It's still watchable.
It's still pretty good,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And I'll tell you one more thing. We got to get out of here, but
Yeah.
just because this you reminded me of this, and we keep saying there's a bunch of this movie on the cutting room floor, or at least it seems like it is.
Yeah.
And there are specific reasons that it seems like that must be the case.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you another one is there's a bunch of that dog on the cutting room floor.
Oh, yeah.
Because
For sure.
you get the scene where that dog is like right there with him.
Yeah.
Right. And
Yep.
and
I forgot about
that
this.
scene is from a movie where ultimately you see a lot more of the dog.
Yeah.
The dog in this movie is at best like a total afterthought.
Yeah.
And they were like, I don't know, maybe we should have a dog.
Right.
And at worst, something that is just really horribly written.
Yeah.
Like, some producer's kid's dog.
Yeah.
And we wanted to have it in the movie or something.
Right.
Because nothing happens with that dog for
Right.
more than like 20 seconds at the beginning.
Yeah.
And then there's this one part where the dog barks or whatever.
Yeah.
And then suddenly, it's all this stuff. Like, there's got to be like 10 minutes of
Yeah.
references to that dog or it doing other things or,
Right.
you know, something happening. But it is so weird to watch that movie.
Yeah.
And then, you know, you get him with the dog, and then all of a sudden it's like, you know, Sir not appearing in this film. Like,
Yeah.
he's like,
He's in
there.
the opening shot of the movie.
I know.
And when I'm watching it, I'm like, huh.
And,
Okay.
And, you know, especially for something that got down to 90 minutes,
yeah.
it's like, no way is that how they wrote
Right.
that to be
Right.
90 minutes. Like, this
Right.
movie was supposed to be 2 hours or,
Right.
or something. And we have a lot of footage. And then at
Yeah.
the last minute, somebody said, nope, make it 90 minutes.
When his wife is talking to their daughter about the dog who's behind, you know, bars and stuff, and she's like, you know, all you have to do is gain their trust, and then the weird park ranger shows up
Right.
behind him and is like just the worst human being, and then she just grabs her kid and goes, all right, let's go. You know, that's a dumb scene I like watched over again. I'm like, this is
Yeah.
great. More of this.
And God, we got to get out of here. But I
Okay.
keep
All right,
thinking
I'll
of
shut
things. And just because the way it happens at the big end scene,
Yeah.
we're fighting at the park, right? I went just the way it rolls out for like
Yeah.
the first few minutes. I stopped and went back and counted.
Yeah.
And they kill, and this is not even like counting who got kind of maimed, but maybe they got back up
Right.
again
But
or
dead.
something like that. But they kill 40 guys. They drive in 5 cars
Yep.
and roll down. I mean, maybe
Right.
it's 6 because
Right.
there's the one she's in. I don't
Yeah,
know.
right.
But and that's not counting the
This
the,
is
the
awesome.
main henchman guy.
Yeah.
They killed 40 guys. 40 guys somehow were in those cars that
Right.
they drove down.
You bet. It is it's clown cars, man.
I'm
This
like,
is yeah. Come
oh,
on.
But they show us these cars
Yeah.
over and over again, and they're like, "We're driving down, and here we come."
9 or
and,
10 in a
we
car.
we have to watch the cars roll down,
Yeah.
and I'm like, "Okay, whatever." And then all of a sudden, they're just killing people left and right, all over the place.
Christopher Lloyd looked like he was having a blast.
And I
shooting the gun.
I was like, "That's it." I stopped
Yeah.
and like rewound. I'm like, "Look, that is too many guys. There's no way." And yeah,
Oh, God, I love-
40 guys.
I love this show.
Anyway.
I love it.
All right. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back next week with, at the very least, F1
Yep.
and probably at least
There's some others. Yeah.
one or two, even
Yeah.
maybe more
Definitely.
things. We might have to do some quicker catching up,
Yeah.
but we'll see what's on the top of the pile
Sure.
or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, thanks for tuning in. Please like, subscribe, share, all that stuff. It really helps out.
Yeah.
And we'll see you next week.
Right.
Thanks.
Bye.